I'm running for state senate in order to give back to my community. I'm from Johns Creek, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta, and I've benefited so much from what I've gotten there: education, the resources, the community, and I want to make sure everyone has those same opportunities, whether it's education, whether it's economic opportunities, or access to healthcare and reproductive rights. I decided to run at the end of last year. I wanted to run in order to give back to my community. I've always been interested in public service. I used to work in the federal government, but I realized the importance of working at the local and state level to make sure that we can do what's needed in order to serve our communities. I first informed my parents because as we say, we say Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, right? Acharya Devo Bhava. So like our parents are gods to us, right? So for me, I informed them first because they've always been my guides and they're people who have helped me be where I am today. Very proud. They said, Ashwin, we give you our blessings and we hope you're successful, and they've been so helpful since then. My parents are from Tamil Nadu. My father is from Coimbatore and my mom is from Chennai, and they both came here in the 90s, and they initially came here, they worked in the IT industry, and then they moved to Atlanta and have been there since then. So I did. So when I was young, I was one of those kids who, from a very young age, I liked to code. So when I was in elementary school and onwards, I would code for fun. So I ended up going to Stanford for my undergrad in computer science and worked with startups in that world as well. The reaction has been people are very excited because they see a lot of people in politics who are much older than they are. And they really want to see that politics is not just for that generation, but we have younger folks who have the ideas, have the energy to get things done. So people are very excited to see a new alternative and a new vision as well. And one thing I'd note is I'm young, but I have experience. I've worked in the federal government for several years under both Republican and Democratic administrations, and I have the background in both technology and the law to make sure we can get things done. The main priorities are growing the economy, giving more opportunities for jobs and entrepreneurship, funding our education system, paying our teachers more, giving more opportunities there, and finally, public safety and well-being. Can we bring more access to healthcare, protecting reproductive rights, and also protecting our right to vote as well? So far, people have been very excited. I would say, particularly in Georgia, I would be the first elected Indian American legislator. And people are very excited about the idea that, hey, we can actually have an impact by having someone in office who shares similar backgrounds as we do. And I think also throughout the country as well, people are excited to see someone like me who is young, coming as a second generation immigrant, not someone, I'm someone who was actually born and brought up in this country, to come and say, I want to serve my community in this way. So typically, a lot of it is going to events, as many events as possible. So some of these are, of course, Indian American events. I went to the various Pongal celebrations in Atlanta, for example, but others are other events too. So I'm going to events for Chinese New Year, visiting churches, mosques, synagogues, all those different areas to make sure you can talk to people. Because the most important thing is talking with people and showing them that you're there for them, and they can ask you if they have questions or concerns they want you to address. And then the second part is fundraising as well. So a lot of talking with potential donors, saying, here's our vision, here's what we need, and here's how you can help us, because that's really crucial to make sure a campaign is successful. Fundraising is always tough. If you ask anyone, if you ask a nonprofit person, a politician, it's a lot of work, but it's if you're fundraising for a good cause, it's a lot of fun, and you can really talk about the idea that you're not just asking for money for yourself. You're asking for your community, and you're telling people why they should invest in their own communities. Yeah, raising money for startups, it's a bit different. Yeah, of course, there's still the pitch. You have to go and say, here's my product, here's what I'm doing. But the thing is, there's campaign finance limits. So you can only raise a certain amount of money for campaigns, meaning you have to raise from thousands of people at a time, as opposed to just a few dozen people. So it's very different. But I think there is a similar kind of mindset where it's like, for the investors, it's not a return on their investment monetarily, but it's an investment in you and in their future. If they can give you a contribution, they know that you're going to be fighting for these issues that I really care about, and they're helping us succeed as well. I told them a few things. I told them that what I bring to office is three things: unity, energy, and integrity. So what that means is I am young, a new face, so I'm bringing this new energy to politics, and we can work on these issues that really will affect us around technology and other things as well. Unity, meaning I want to bring together Democrats and Republicans. I don't want to go to the extremes and say, continue the polarization we have. I want to show a path forward where we can work together. And finally, integrity. I will always do the right thing. I have these values I've grown up with in the community. My opponent was actually indicted for trying to overturn the election. And I want to show that we don't want that kind of path going forward. We want a path of people working together on the issues that matter. Yeah, so ABC stands for American Born Confused Desi, right, or CD. I think that's always the case for immigrants, right? Immigrants come and they grow up in a culture, but their parents have a different culture, and they're always a mix of these two cultures. But I would say, over time, we end up understanding, and we can come to terms with what that means. One thing I realized growing up is that there are these two cultures, Indian and American culture, but they're not as static as you might seem. Many people I know, so my parents I can call them Indian, but they've become very Americanized. And I'm American, but I have many Indian aspects to myself. There is no static way of thinking about culture. And that's actually the beauty of this country, is that everyone comes together and brings something which they have to the table. And we're proud of where you came from as well. I think a lot of it was actually initially from my parents and from my family. I would go to India every few years, visit family, go to the temples, houses of worship, and just get to understand how it was there. I grew up learning Tamil as well, so I went to Tamil school, and I also went to Balavihar, which is like a Sunday school type event where I would go and learn about Indian culture, history, and also Hindu philosophy as well. So all this made me interested. From a very young age, I learned Vedic chanting, going to the temple and all that has given me that exposure to the culture.